This is a sample of the information provided as part of the flexible training resources available through HACCP.com. Our training courses are designed to provide training participants with an understanding of food safety and quality system elements and also offer user-friendly assessment activities and competency checklists to complete the training cycle. Key definitions for high care management. High care, an area designed to a high standard where practices relating to personnel, ingredients, equipment, packaging and the environment aim to minimize product contamination by pathogenic microorganisms. High risk, a physically segregated area, designed to a high standard of hygiene, where practices relating to personnel, ingredients, equipment, packaging and the environment aim to prevent product contamination by pathogenic microorganisms. HPP, high pressure processing, also called high hydrostatic pressure processing. High-pressure pasteurization or HPP utilizes ultra-high pressures to destroy pathogens without the application of heat that can damage the taste, texture, and nutritional value of the food. Ready-to-eat, commonly abbreviated as RTE, ready-to-eat products in the high-care context include items that are ready to consume without further preparation. Ready-to-reheat, commonly abbreviated as RTRH. Ready-to-reheat products in the high-care context include items that are ready to consume following a prescribed heating process that is known to render that food safe and edible. High-care management development. When considering the development, documentation and implementation of high-care management within food safety and quality management systems, the following information should be considered to ensure effective outcomes. About high-care management. Key considerations of high-care management. Premises and equipment standards GMP and hygiene management. About high care management. The terms high care and high risk are often used in conjunction with each other. The two terms are similar in their applications into food businesses. The main difference between the two being the fact that high risk is slightly elevated. High risk aims to prevent product contamination by pathogenic microorganisms. High care aims to minimize product contamination by pathogenic microorganisms. High care systems and premises rely on heightened levels of food safety management to achieve the anticipated outcomes of safe foods and rely on the effective development, documentation and implementation of prerequisite programs that are genuinely maintained on an ongoing basis. Because of the very realistic potential public health risks that can occur from contaminated high care foods, it is important that the premises, equipment and surrounds are constructed and maintained in the most appropriate manner. Key considerations of high care management. Products intended to be consumed as ready-to-eat RTE or ready-to-reheat RTRH need to be manufactured within facilities that have specialized controls for microbiological safety. The requirements for high care production facilities should embody the true representation of food industry best practice, as this mitigates risk for consumers, and by proxy, for the businesses manufacturing such products. Ready-to-eat products are obviously relevant for the application of high care practices due to their status. Ready-to-reheat items are relevant as consumers may not always follow instructions for storage and use, which can very realistically result in foodborne illness. Product design and development. Procedures for product design and development must be developed, documented and implemented to ensure the process yields appropriate outcomes. The product design and development should include structured consideration of HACCP, production trials, specifications, packaging, labeling and shelf life consideration for microbiological, chemical, physical and organoleptic parameters including challenge testing where applicable. It is important to consider within any product design and development flow process that applications will need to be applied in a logical sequence. Each stage of the product design and development process contains a set of prescribed and concurrent activities incorporating industry best practices. The activities during a stage are generally anticipated to be applied in parallel, not in sequence. This ensures that they are carried out quickly and effectively. Process stages must be cross-functional to allow all areas of the food business to contribute. When considering the implementation of product design and development elements for high-care processes and products, it is important that additional emphasis be placed on the microbiological status of raw materials. This is because the management of microbiological risks within a high-care scenario relies heavily on the assumption of microbiological limits of process inputs. A lack of consideration of raw material microbiological status can very realistically result in a significant microbiological non-conformance. As with any risk-based activity, implemented product design and development protocols need to follow the established steps, including development, documentation, implementation, monitoring, corrective action, verification, validation and skills and knowledge. About premises and equipment design and construction standards. The physical facilities and structure of a food establishment must be properly designed, constructed, installed, operated and maintained to allow the receival, storage, production and dispatch of safe food. The design and construction of the premises and the items within it have a direct link to the control of entry of pests and potentially their harborage and ability to cause contamination of process or products. The design and construction of premises and equipment is also directly related to the control of cross-contamination by staff and visitor traffic flows, process flows and waste flows. Many factors are important to premises and equipment design being supportive of food safety, including water supply, sewage and water waste disposal, garbage and recyclable matter storage, ventilation, lighting, construction of floors, walls and ceilings in an appropriate manner, and of correct materials, correct installation and allowance for cleaning of fittings and equipment, availability of designated hand washing facilities, storage areas that are appropriate for the items being stored within them, and in the correct vicinity related to food areas. For example, chemicals are stored away from food ingredients and food packaging. Food transport vehicles are constructed and maintained to reduce food contamination risk. Provision of designated eating, drinking and smoking areas. The internal and external design and layout of food establishments should permit good food hygiene practices, including protection against cross-contamination during and between food production operations. This may include a defined one-way product flow, the segregation between high and low-risk areas, and entry to high-care areas via specially designated and managed changing facilities. Sanitary facilities such as toilets should not be adjoined to operational areas within any food business. As a minimum, a double door and airlock between the sanitary facilities and low-risk production areas would be acceptable. Adequate suitably designed and constructed facilities should be provided for cleaning food utensils and equipment. Such facilities should have an adequate supply of hot and cold potable water where required. High-care zones. High-care zones within a food business usually refer to the areas of the site flow process following a microbiological reduction. High-care-based controls are implemented until the foodstuff is fully packaged. Items that undergo final microbiological kill step or microbiological reduction step while contained within their fully sealed packaging may not be classed as high-care. It is generally considered best practice for high-care processes to be identified as such within HACCP documentation, such as the process flow diagram. High-care zones should also be clearly defined within site floor plans and layouts. Where a food business cannot fully meet the expected requirements for design and construction of high-care areas and facilities, the business must provide substantial evidence of effective, validated implementation of microbiological controls. In most cases, the requirements for high-risk scenarios are generally considered to be more effective and controllable for microbiological growth and contamination risk to products and processes. In this context, high-risk applications may be applicable into a high-care scenario, but not the opposite. For example, high-risk status food items may be used within a high-care area as they have had a higher level of microbiological intervention, whereas high-care status food items require additional considered controls to be implemented to control related risks. High-care transfer points. The methods and facilities implemented for transferring items to and from high-care areas require significant risk assessments to ensure they are effective in controlling microbiological risk. These may be implemented to include methods, traveling heat treatment equipment that facilitates entry within the lower risk area and exit within the high-care area. Heat treatment through a double-door system fitted with an airlock that facilitates entry within the lower-risk area and exit within the high-care area. Transfer of heat-treated materials through piping from the lower-risk area to the high-care area. Tipping heat-treated foodstuffs from the lower-risk area to the high-care area over a defined control barrier. Transfer of fully packaged appropriately heat-treated items into the high-care area via a sanitation process, such as a flume, conveyor or bath. The implemented sanitation process must be appropriately validated and verified to ensure its ongoing effectiveness, including considerations for time, temperature and chemicals where applicable. Transfer of fully packaged, double-bagged items from a high-care supplier into the high-care area via a sanitation process. This may include scenarios in which technologies and processes such as blanching, UV treatment, irradiation, chemical sanitation or HPP high-pressure processing have been used by the high-care supplier as part of their processes. Transfer of produce into the high-care area via a sanitation process, such as a flume, conveyor or bath. The implemented sanitation process must be appropriately validated and verified to ensure its ongoing effectiveness, including considerations for time, temperature and chemicals where applicable. Transfer of bulk materials, such as pH-controlled liquids through piping from the lower-risk area to the high-care area. Transfer of items into the high-care area via a sanitation process, which may include methods such as blanching, UV treatment, irradiation, chemical sanitation or HPP high-pressure processing. In cases where equipment requires settings for the transfer of items from lower-risk to high-care areas, it is preferable that such settings can only be controlled from the lower or higher-risk area. Where the systems implemented transfer items from lower-risk to high-care areas, for example, through a wall, cleaning should be able to be facilitated from both sides. Did you know that HACCP.com includes resources that allow you to create, manage and implement GFSI and HACCP-based food safety and quality programs? Improve your food safety and quality skills and knowledge? Train and develop your team to create better food safety and quality outcomes? Find suppliers and service providers to partner with your business? The information and training resources available through HACCP.com included a variety of formats, such as website content, MP4, MP4 and text, MP3, PDF and slideshow. Are you ready to take the next step in your food compliance journey? Visit HACCP.com today to create your profile and access the full versions of our food safety and quality information packages and much more.